So he gave us maps.
He gave us everything, background on the war, background on Korea, transcripts from doctors who had served in Korea. Because Gene Reynolds and Larry Gelbart had done a lot of research on their own, talking to the actual doctors who had been in MASHs, who had been in hospitals in Korea and Japan during the war. So there was an enormous amount of anecdotal material that you could choose from, which we pretty much, everybody who wrote on the shows pretty much picked dry by the end of the series. In fact, we did an episode that we found in the research about how these doctors had removed the appendix of a general that they felt was had a way too high casualty rate in his brigade, and so they gave him a sort of some sort of drug that would make him nauseous, and then told him he had an appendix, swollen appendix, and they took it out just to keep him off the line. We thought, wow, that's an amazing show, and so we wrote that one, and that night when we had read it and went over pretty well, we did some extensive rewriting on it because we added the idea that BJ was against the idea of doing unnecessary surgery, whereas Hawkeye felt like anything that saves lives is justified. So it was a nice sort of ethical conundrum between the two characters. And so we finished up about 11 o'clock that night, one of the latest nights we ever spent on the show. And I went home, and at the time, CBS had MASH reruns at 11:30. This is well before all the late night shows. And I'm watching this episode from the second year, and it's the exact same story. And I call him and I go, "You're not going to believe this. They've already done this before." And so we're figuring like, oh, we're in trouble. We don't have another script ready to go, whatever it is. And we come in the next day, and it was like no one remembered. No one remembered that they had, and it was different enough in the sense of, because in the original it was just Hawkeye and Trapper just took out the guy's appendix and that was it. And in this, there was a real discussion about the ethics of the surgery itself. So, but it was like,
that was no one.
All these people had been in the show, had written the show, didn't even remember.
Yeah, you think, at the table reading, one of the actors or crew members or somebody would go, guys,
didn't we do this?
I'm getting deja vu here. Yeah. We did this show.
Yeah. But that's how much we relied on the actual anecdotal testimony.